What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Jorge's House of Horrors, where we don't just tell ghost stories, we investigate the ones that actually made it into flight logs and incident reports. I'm your host, Jorge, and today we're heading 30,000 feet up and straight into one of the most haunted airline legends of all time. A commercial jet crashes in the Everglades. Over 100 people die, and months later, airline staff start reporting something terrifying. Phantom crew members showing up on board, warning of danger and disappearing before anyone can speak. No horror movie, no urban legend. This is the story of Flight 401 and the ghost that came back with a vengeance. Let's prepare for takeoff. On the night of December 29th, 1972, Eastern Airlines Flight 401 took off from JFK Airport in New York, headed for Miami. It was a Lockheed L-1011 TriStar, one of the most advanced commercial jets of its time, carrying 176 people. But just before landing, a light on the control panel failed to confirm that the landing gear was locked. The crew began troubleshooting the issue, fixating on the light itself. What they didn't realize was that in their distraction, the autopilot had been disengaged and the plane was descending into the Everglades. The plane crashed at 227 miles per hour into the Florida swamp. 101 people died, including Captain Bob Loft and flight engineer Don Repo. It was one of the worst aviation disasters in U.S. history at the time. But the story doesn't end there. Months after the crash, strange things began happening on another Eastern Airlines L-1011, specifically planes that had been fitted with salvage parts from Flight 401. That's right, to save money, because you know how our airline industry is right now. Eastern refused, they reused undamaged components from the wrecked aircraft and installed them into other jets in the fleet. Practical, sure. Morbid? Absolutely. Then came the sightings. On multiple occasions, mechanics and flight crew reported seeing Don Repo, the flight engineer who died in the crash, standing in the galley or appearing in mirrors, warning them about mechanical issues before disappearing. One flight attendant said she saw a man in an Eastern Airlines uniform in the lower galley during pre-flight checks. When she called maintenance, they said no one was assigned down there. She later identified the man from a photo, Don Repo. In another case, a captain reported seeing Repo's face reflected in the cockpit's flight engineer panel right before an equipment issue was discovered. One report even claimed that Repo appeared and said, "There will never be another crash on a TriStar that I am on." Chilling? Oh yeah. Loft was reportedly seen in the cockpit jump seat of the plane about to take off. This was Captain Bob Loft. When a flight crew member approached to speak to him, he vanished in front of multiple witnesses. Another account had him wandering a cabin inspecting equipment. When questioned, he said nothing and simply faded away. Some reports suggest that Loft's ghost appeared before flights with technical malfunctions, as if trying to prevent another disaster. Eastern responses was deny, deny, deny. I mean, are we surprised? Newark Airport? Anyway, back to the story. Despite the growing number of internal reports, many from highly trained professionals, Eastern Airlines officially denied everything. They removed all salvage parts from aircraft without explanation. They threatened employees with disciplinary action for speaking to the media, but the sightings didn't stop. Even flight safety logs included references to unexplained crew sightings, listed under euphemisms like crew anomaly or visual inconsistency. In one particular weird moment, a full cabin of passengers refused to reboard a plane after seeing Repo's ghost in the galley during boarding. This wasn't just spooky, it was becoming a problem. So what do the skeptics say? Because you know they always have an opinion. Well, some chalk the sightings up to the grief-induced hallucinations or stress among airline workers post-crash. Others suggest urban legend creep. Once one sighting happened, others followed as a suggestion and fear spread. And of course, there's the theory of corporate cover-up that Eastern, desperate to avoid lawsuits or a public panic, suppressed or erased the reports. But here's the kicker. The number of credible witnesses, including pilots, engineers, and flight attendants, lends this legend more weight than your typical ghost story. These weren't tourists or thrill seekers, these were professionals. The story of Flight 401 became so infamous, it inspired a 1976 book by John G. Fuller called The Ghost of Flight 401, a TV movie of the same name starring Ernest Borgnine, dozens of documentaries, reenactments, and investigations, references in shows like Unsolved Mysteries and Haunted History, and it permanently etched a terrifying question into aviation lore. Can trauma cling to machinery? I don't know. What do you think? Were the ghosts of Captain Loft and Don Repo warning future crews, protecting lives, or were they just echoes of a tragedy too big to forget? Drop your thoughts in the comments, especially if you or someone you know ever flew Eastern Airlines in the 70s. Seriously, I want to know. I really want to know. Now, if this episode sent chills down your spine at cruising altitude, smash that like button, ghost that subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a descent into darkness. I'm Jorge, and this is Jorge's House of Horrors.